it's the primary, pretty much only way that I purchase PC games now. With the exception of some games I purchase directly from publisher platforms like Origin and whatever Ubisoft's platform is. I think it's called Uplay Creative. But again, primarily I buy games through Steam. Mostly because they're all in one place, and secondarily because they run ridiculous sales where you can pick up games for anywhere from 50 to 80% off of what they're currently being offered for. So, Steam recently had their summer sale, and along with their holiday sale, it's the best time to buy games on Steam because almost every game offered on the platform is deeply discounted. So, some of the games that I'll be talking about today I picked up during the Steam sale, and some of them I've had for a while. I currently have about 150 games in my Steam library, which may seem like a lot, but it's by no means the most games purchased on Steam by a Steam user by any. I'm not even close. And a lot of the games I buy bundled with in humble indie bundles, and I will buy a bundle for 1 or 2 games, and then as the name implies, other games that I'm not necessarily interested in will come along with them, and they end up in my Steam library as well. So anyway, the game that I have highlighted right now is actually a game that I picked up during the last Steam sale, and it is a standalone kind of expansion for a game that came out a while back called Alan Wake. And I originally played Alan Wake on Xbox 360. It's not a game that I own anymore. Actually, I don't even own an Xbox 360 anymore. I sold it a while back. But the game, the franchise, I should say, takes a lot of its cues from the old TV series called Twin Peaks. And Alan Wake is a novelist who retreats to a town in the Pacific Northwest in an attempt to cure his writer's block. And it's there that things pretty much go sideways for him. He's basically having hallucinations and not sure what's real and what's not, and so there's a lot of ambiguity about whether your character Alan is really having brushes with the supernatural, or if he's just losing his mind. The original game, I enjoyed it. It has an interesting light-based combat mechanic targets on your enemies, and then makes them vulnerable to more conventional weapons like guns and melee weapons. And you can actually destroy some of the enemies with light entirely using like high-powered lanterns and, for lack of a better description, light grenades. And I enjoyed the first game in the series, and so when this went on sale, this expansion went on sale, I decided to pick it up, just to see if I enjoy returning to this universe. So I have not played it yet, I haven't installed it even, and I plan to probably dive into this after I finish the game that I'm currently playing, which I'll get to a little bit later. So the next couple games here are in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I have Brotherhood, which is actually the third game in the series and the sequel to Assassin's Creed 2. And it's the second of 3 games to feature Ezio Auditore. If you don't know about this series, the meta protagonist is a character called Desmond Miles, and basically he is genetically related to a long line of assassins, and in this series, the assassins are an organized group who actively oppose a group known as the Templars. Modern day Templars have become a corporation called Abstergo, and the Templars seek to control these supernatural artifacts left behind by a ancient race. The artifacts are known as Apples of Eden, and they want to gain control of these artifacts so that they can control the world. And the assassins basically stand in opposition to this plan. And it's an open world game with a lot of parkour inspired free running and climbing. And I really enjoy this series of games. I've sunk a pretty good chunk of time into each one that I've played, playing a lot of the side quests, and, you know, just in general enjoying running around these ancient cities and stabbing people. So I have Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Revelations. I also have Assassin's Creed 3, which is the most recent game. I purchased that through Ubisoft directly. So I actually enjoyed the third game a lot in terms of its storytelling. It really introduced a lot of ambiguity in terms of the goals of the assassins versus the Templars. Whereas in previous games it was just kind of black and white. Assassins are good and Templars are bad, and in a lot of the dialogue in the third game, they kind of introduced the gray area that these two factions just oversimplifies things, and that's just not how things are. And so I think the introduction of some of that ambiguity was a good thing for the series, and I hope that they continue that in the 4th game. Black Flag, I can't imagine they won't, considering you play as a pirate. So, I expect to see some more of that gray area in the next game as well. The next game here in my collection is a game called Bastion, and it's an indie title. It's a kind of a hack and slash meets RPG, and I actually highly recommend that if you play video games at all, that you pick up this game whenever you can, if you find it on sale somewhere, because it's really a unique experience in terms of its art style and its storytelling. It uses a narrator to great effect. It's not cheesy in the least, and the gameplay is solid, it's tight. There are a bunch of different weapons you can pick up that will let you kind of customize how you play through the game, and the really unique aspect of it is that as you walk around, the environment actually pops up underneath you, and so the world you make the world as you move through it, and it has a couple of different endings. It's a very poignant piece of art, and just to clarify, I view all games as art. Some of them are high art, some of them are low art, but I think that the developers of Bastion were trying to go for that high art feel in terms of the art direction. The music in this game is brilliant. It'll stay stuck in your head. It's worth buying the soundtrack that goes along with this game and listening to it independently of playing the game. It's that good. So, Bastion, again, highly recommended. It's occasionally part of the Humble Indie bundles that I mentioned earlier. So, pick it up for sure. I can't do justice to just how good the game is. You just have to play it. Batman Arkham City, probably the best Batman game ever made. It's by Rocksteady. It has excellent hand-to-hand combat, great exploration, very much in line with the Christopher Nolan interpretation of the Batman character. And there's a sequel to this game coming out in the near future. The ending was kind of mediocre, but again, if you like open world action games, and especially if you like Batman, just buy it. That's really all there is to say about it. Bully is a game that was originally released on PlayStation 2 by Rockstar, and it takes their open world Grand Theft Auto style game and then drops it on top of a private prep school. It's a game with a lot of art and a lot of humor, and it tells a very good underdog story, where the underdog happens to be the least awful kid at a school full of awful kids. He basically becomes a bully, where he sticks up for the nerds and geeks and outcasts at this prep school. Again, highly recommended. Cave Story Plus, I've never played. I can't tell you much about it, but I got it as part of a Humble Indie bundle. Dark Souls, Prepare to Die. Dark Souls is the sequel to Demon's Souls, a game that I played and still own on PlayStation 3. And this is another game discounted through Steam, and this franchise is known for its unforgiving difficulty level. And I got a good chunk of the way through Demon's Souls, and then I had to wipe my PlayStation 3's memory because of a technical glitch I was experiencing. I actually had to replace its internal hard drive as a result of that glitch. Basically the hard drive that came with the system was malfunctioning, so I lost all my progress, and it's not a game that you really want to start over from the beginning. At least not until you've beat it the first time, so I have yet to dive back into Demon's Souls or crack Dark Souls. But the game it has a carrot and stick type element where it demands perfection, and punishes you for making stupid or rash decisions. So, I like the setting. It's kind of a high fantasy, low magic setting, with dragons, but the magic isn't a silver bullet. You can't just charge into rooms and nuke everything. You'll never become so powerful in this game that it becomes easy. So, if you're up for a challenge, I recommend this game for sure. The Darksiders franchise, these two games, you'll notice, I sunk about 25 hours into the first and 50 into the second. It's kind of a directed hack and slash, third person, semi-open world game. It kind of has a nexus zone where you access other areas, and it features a hybridized version of like Greek mythology and Roman mythology and Christian mythology, and you basically play as in the first game you play as War, and then the second you play as Death, who are both in this particular mythos, horsemen of the apocalypse. The action in this game is really good. The story is okay. I found the second game pretty compelling. There's just a lot to do in the games. There's a lot of side quests, and I don't know, it's kind of fun. So come to this game for the gameplay and the mechanics and kind of the RPG elements where you're upgrading your character and your equipment. Not so much for the overarching narrative, although it's not bad. It's a little schizophrenic, but it's not bad. Again, recommended. Dead Rising 2. This game has a very, very dark sense of humor, which I really appreciate. And there's nothing out there really like it at all. The hordes of zombies that you have to cut through, and then the somewhat ham-fisted, but still kind of accurate allegory about consumerism and the fact that, much like George Romero zombie movies, the human being, and actually I'll point to one of my favorite films of all time, Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. Even with the presence of The Walking Dead, your toughest and worst enemies are other humans. I recommend the Dead Rising series as a whole, for its unique sense of humor, and the fact that you can pick up anything in the environment basically and use it as a weapon. Very good. And, you know, if you're into sordid violence against non-humans, this is definitely a franchise for you to check out. The Dead Space games, I've played all three. The most recent Dead Space 3 I played co-op with a friend. The games have gotten progressively less scary. I really was I played Dead Space 1 on Xbox, and I played it in the dark by myself, and it is shit your pants scary. This is another franchise that I recommend, especially the first one. It is difficult and unforgiving in kind of the same way that Dark Souls is to a lesser extent, but it's just Dead Space 1 is out now, it's scary, and the sequels kind of put the emphasis more on action as opposed to the atmosphere and the terror, but still good games. And it's another series where the narrative starts to trip all over itself, but it does drive the game along. And it's another one where insanity kind of plays a role. So, check it out. Deadlight is an indie title. It's kind of, well, that's not an indie title. It's a smaller game, but it was actually published by Xbox Live, or Xbox. I should clarify and say it was published by Microsoft, by one of their smaller development studios. And it's got kind of a cool aesthetic, side-scrolling, a lot of jumping and climbing, fair bit of gunplay, and it's just kind of a unique experience, kind of unlike other things out there, and for that reason alone it's worth checking out. It's got a kind of Memento-style narrative, in medias res, work your way back toward the beginning kind of thing. So yeah, it's like $10 or $15. If you can catch it on sale for $5, you should pick it up. Dust Force is another unique title. It's kind of got a Castlevania type feel to it, but your goal is to clean up dirt and do it as stylishly and as quickly as possible. It's a very addictive time trial type component to it, and a ranking system for your performance through these various stages, cleaning up these different environments, and it has great player characters that you use, the janitors you use to clean up this dirt. They all have a unique look to them and movement style. Again, just another cool little indie title that if you're looking for something different, you should check it out. And just so you know, the titles in gray in my library are titles that I do not currently have installed, and the ones that are in white are ones I currently have installed and I have either recently played or I'm currently playing. Everyday Shooter, never played it, but it's kind of a bullet hell type shooter from what I understand. Ghostbusters the video game is supposed to be kind of a continuation of the Ghostbusters movies. They got a lot of the original actors to do the voice acting in this game, including Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. It's a mediocre game, but I still finished it and it was still fun. So I don't know, if you get catch it on sale. Never played Gratuitous Space Battles. Never played Hammer Fight. The Hitman games, I am a fan of in theory. I like what they do in the games, but I've never really been able to get into them. So, there you go. Home is another indie title. It's got a kind of a 16-bit or 8-bit feel to it. It's a very creepy, atmospheric game, and it's very narrative-driven. You basically wake up and you don't know where you are, but you know who you are, and your goal, as the name implies, is to get back home, presumably to your wife, who you talk about a lot during the game. Your character talks a lot about, and you kind of write the narrative through your actions as you play the game. It's a cool game. It only takes about an hour and a half to play through once, but you can play through multiple times and kind of change how the narrative plays out based on your decisions. And it is very creepy. You feel as though at any moment you could meet your end. And I like games like that where you feel vulnerable the whole game and you're not really sure what's going on. So this is a pretty cool title, and I'd suggest checking it out. Hotline Miami is kind of an homage to top-down shooters. It also has that 8-bit aesthetic, super fast-paced, kind of makes fun of, makes light of, satirizes the lack of consequence for death in video games. And I can't say, there are a lot of people who have talked about what's compelling about this title on the internet. If you want to know why you should play this game, you should go to Rock Paper Shotgun or Kotaku or any of the other gaming blogs out there and read their reviews and analysis of this game. You should definitely play it. It's very important that you play this game if you want to understand why games are important. Check it out for sure. Just play it and read some of the analysis of it. It informs your gameplay in a way that I think is important as well. So you should definitely read about it and play it and understand it, especially if you want to go into game design. I Am Alive is another kind of smaller title, I believe, published by Microsoft. It is another game where it's a post-apocalyptic setting where there are quote-unquote monsters, but really the humans you encounter are the most dangerous aspect of the game world. I enjoyed this game. I like the way that it looks and plays. It has a climbing mechanic that is tied to an endurance bar that I find compelling, where you basically have to plan the way that you move through the environment. Again, another game that if you can find it on sale, you should definitely pick it up and play through it. It's got a couple of different endings. And the gunplay mechanic is decent. And really, the objective of the game is to be as good a person as you possibly can in a really, really shitty situation. You can choose to take the easy way out a lot of the time, and choosing to take the hard path is what is most rewarding in this game. So, check it out. Jamestown, I've never played. It's kind of a wacky bullet hell shooter, very, very loosely tied to, I swear to God, tied to the colony of Jamestown, founded here in the United States. I don't know anything about it really, but you might want to check it out if you're into bullet hell shooters. Just Cause 2 is an open world Grand Theft Auto style inspired shooter, I should say. It's not even a shooter per se, but it is a zany, wacky game that you should definitely check out. There is a arm-mounted grappling hook that you can use to attach yourselves to helicopters as they fly by and hijack them, and that is reason enough to play this game. It is crazy, and you should check it out. Enough said. LA Noire gets massive points in my book for introducing a primary mechanic wherein your objective is to shake down the criminals you're investigating. You play as a detective in the Roaring 20s in Los Angeles, and there is a who's who of Mad Men actors in this game. It also features a cameo by the actor who played Walter in Fringe, and I really liked this game. I really liked playing through it. The film noir elements are great. The investigation and interrogation mechanics are good. The driving is straight out of Grand Theft Auto because this is a Rockstar game, and the gunplay isn't shabby either, so definitely check it out. I know that I'm giving a lot of recommendations here. There aren't a lot of games that I buy that are bad, so absolutely find LA Noire on sale and buy it and play it. It's great. Lone Survivor, you'll notice I've only played for 15 minutes, and that is because it makes me so anxious. I don't know if I can get through it. This is a game that is scary as hell. If you like being scared, buy this game. It invokes Silent Hill in that it makes you paranoid, and it is terrifying, and its aesthetic is something straight out of a nightmare I used to have as a child. So I've only made it through 15 minutes, but and I don't know that I'll ever make it through any more, but if you play the old Silent Hill games with Seal and you like psychological terror, you should definitely check out Lone Survivor. Mark of the Ninja is one of the best stealth games ever created. It's how you do side-scrolling stealth. Your ultimate goal in this game is to get through every stage without ever being detected or killing anyone. And it is a beautiful game. It is mechanics driven. If you want to play a very tight game with a great stealth mechanic, you should play Mark of the Ninja. The Max Payne games I picked up on a Steam bundle sale, and I played through Max Payne, the first one, and I've started in on Max Payne 2. This is a series that I'm not all that enthusiastic about, but I'm playing because I feel like I should. It's kind of like how you watch certain films if you're a film buff, because you know that they're part of the canon of great filmmaking. So it's why you watch and study Citizen Kane and like Dr. Strangelove and those kinds of films. So I'm playing through these just to say that I've played through them. They don't really hold up that well, I don't think, against modern games who have taken that bullet time mechanic and really enhanced it and placed it into, more believable resources, and better gameplay. But it was one of the first, and that's why I'm playing through them. I haven't played Red Faction Armageddon, but I did play its predecessor on, excuse me, I played it on a console, I think Xbox, maybe PlayStation. I heard very mixed things about this game, so I haven't been in a hurry to play it. Saints Row the Third. This franchise prides itself on being the most outlandish, ridiculous video game franchise on the planet, and it kind of holds up if you have a taste for the absurd and you enjoy Grand Theft Auto games, but maybe not how seriously they take themselves. This is a franchise you should check out. Shank is an ultra-violent side-scrolling action game. I've only just started playing through it. As you see, 27 minutes played. I don't know if I can recommend it yet. I'm not sure that the ultra-violent side-scrolling gameplay is really my thing. But it looks great. It's a good-looking game. So maybe if you can find a demo out there, you should play it. And if you enjoy that and want to do that a lot for a few hours, you should probably get Shank. Sleeping Dogs TM cracks me up because it's the only game in here that has a trademark symbol in the title. This is a very, very solid game. It has a very good story. It has a unique setting and set of characters because you play as a Chinese expat who grew up in China, and you go to America to, well, prior to the game's events, you've gone to America, studied there, and become a cop, and you basically come back to Hong Kong and hook up with your old friends who are now Triad members, and you basically embed with them, and it's a story about honor and what it means to be a criminal, and about loyalty and those kinds of things, all of the things that you find commonly in other media about the Triads. And to a certain extent, it romanticizes organized crime, and it can be very, very violent. The hand-to-hand combat in the game is extraordinarily well executed and very tight and a lot of fun. But you dispatch enemies with knives and stuff, and it's the zeal with which you do it. Well, I know it's in keeping with that it's subject matter, basically. I don't know, it kind of glorifies it, and some people may not be comfortable with that, but it's really an excellent game, and I really enjoy playing through it. So you should definitely check it out if you're into that open world style of gameplay popularized by the Grand Theft Auto series. I think this does what Grand Theft Auto does better, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it more than any Grand Theft Auto game I've played. I found the story a lot more compelling, and the combat, including the gunplay, to be better executed. Spec Ops: The Line has gotten a lot of attention for its made a look at video games and video game violence, and it also has a lot to say not only about that, but about war in general, and about there is where my wife and I are very big fans of The West Wing, and there is an episode in The West Wing where Liam
Gary, the chief of staff, his former commander in the Air Force, comes to visit him, and they're talking about whether the United States should sign on to a treaty that basically gives the International Criminal Court more power to prosecute war crimes and genocide. And in that episode, as to prove a point about why the United States should not sign on to the treaty, he tells Leo that a mission that he flew, I believe in the Gulf War, he actually ended up killing civilians, even though he was told his target was military. It was a civilian target, and there were civilian casualties. And you know, Leo is aghast. He's deeply disturbed by this, and he asks, you know, why did you tell me that? And his former commander says, well, you could be dragged to the International Criminal Court and charged with a war crime. And Leo asks him again. He says, why did you tell me that? And the commander says, all wars are crimes. It is a very powerful moment in that show, and I think it encapsulates what Spec Ops: The Line is about. At its core, in terms of its mechanics, it's a mediocre third-person shooter, but what it does in terms of storytelling, in terms of its commentary about violence in video games, it is a game that you must play if you want to speak intelligently about the medium and what it can do. So, buy it, play it. It's required reading. You just have to do it. The Splinter Cell games are great stealth-based games. I played through the original back when it first came out, and I played through it again when I got this bundle from a Steam sale. I'm on the second game's Chaos Theory, and I was trying to play these games back to back, kind of, and I realized that's a mistake because they're very similar in terms of their gameplay. And so I decided to take a break from the series and come back to them later. I'm very interested in playing the latest game, Conviction, the more modern title. I'm hoping for, you know, the mechanics of a Splinter Cell game, but in a more modern setting with updated graphics and that kind of thing. These are games that hold up pretty well. The older games hold up pretty well in the face of modern graphics engines, but it's still kind of tough to immerse yourself in a game that is aging. The Walking Dead. This is another title that I really can't say enough about. There is new DLC out for it that I need to pick up, but Telltale Games creates. This is a completely narrative-driven game. It has minimal interaction. It's more like interactive fiction than you know, a straight-up video game. But the world, the universe that they create in this game is highly compelling. The characters are deeply empathetic, and there is a part in this game, it's episodic in nature, and there is an episode where a character to which I had become pretty attached dies, and I went back and played through that section half a dozen different ways to see if there was a way I could save this character, and there's not. I was kind of heartbroken by the loss of that character. This is another game that's required playing. You have to buy this game. You have to play through it. you have to make unbelievably difficult decisions and bear the consequences of those decisions. I am very excited about the DLC that I'm going to pick up probably at Christmas time, because I have a lot of games backlogged at this point. But they did something pretty incredible with this game, and you need to play it. Easy enough. Just play the damn game. Alright, well, this has taken longer and been more taxing on my voice than I expected. So, oops, sorry about that. So I'm actually going to stop here. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll probably be back to go through the other categories in my library. As you can see, I have quite a few more games to talk about, so this will make up the first bulk of the videos that I upload. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll come back and check out some more videos. Thanks.